The unification field is the graviton field. A complete presentation of the graviton field development can be found in the ebook, The Theory of Relativity of Space, Time, and Numbers. The graviton particle is composed of three unique planes that unite to form the equilateral unification plane. The unification plane is defined as the unification symmetry field because it defines symmetry order for all subsequent particles. Each graviton added to the unified symmetry field will be defined by its relative position within the field. Given that the graviton is the building block for all particles, then all particles will be defined by their position within the unified field. Prior to the existence of the unified symmetry field, all numbers can coexist because they belong to the same wave complex and do not interfere with each other. With the introduction of the symmetry field, spacetime is unified and the field becomes a constant state that interacts constantly with any other field in its domain. This means that any number that acts constructively will be allowed to coexist, and any number that acts destructively will not be allowed to coexist. The square root of 2 position that pairs with 1 in symmetry is the 128 square root of 2 position, which defines the fine structure constant. For a more complete description of the fine structure constant, please reference the ebook, The Theory of Relativity of Space, Time, and Numbers. The core numbers that are allowed to coexist from 1 are 1, 3, and 5. From 1, a 3 to the n wave series moves 1, 3, 9, and 27. The series stops at 27 due to destructive interference. The same progression begins at 5 and 25 to generate 5, 15, 45, and 135, and then 25, 75, 225, and 675. The number progression stops again due to destructive interference. However, at 675, the numbers have completed a stable circle. The numbers generated from the reference 1 will also be generated from the 128th square root of 2, with one exception. The numbers generated from the 128th square root of 2 are generated as fractions. Each number represents a graviton position. When the two series are united, they form the gluons and quarks of the proton. In order to understand the behavior of the gravitons in the proton, it is necessary to investigate each graviton position and determine if it is a vector or an antivector. This is accomplished through identity reduction, so that all of the proton numbers can be observed within the reference field from 1 to 2. When the identity reduced numbers are placed within the unified symmetry field from 1 to 2, it is observed that some of the proton positions are defined by vectors, shown in color, and some are defined by antivectors, shown in gray. The proton positions that fall within the vector fields define the existence of 7 unified vectors with 2 additional positions that are half-filled. The 7 unified vectors all fall within 1/2 of the unified symmetry plane and are defined as visible. The proton positions that fall within the antivector fields define the existence of 4 antivectors that all fall within 1/2 of the unified symmetry plane and are defined as not visible. The vector and antivector positions define that 1/2 of the proton spin will be visible because it is above the plane of perception, and 1/2 will be invisible because it is below the plane of perception. Remember that the plane of perception defined internal from external, meaning that the spin that is perceptible is exterior to the particle, and the spin that is imperceptible is interior to the particle. The proton is then defined to have a 1/2 spin. The most significant references for this book are 4 books produced by Michael Sanborn and Mark Sanborn. The original theoretical work by Michael Sanborn and Mark Sanborn is The Unified Wave Theory, produced in 2001. In 2014, Mark Sanborn and Michael Sanborn produced The Rosetta Stone, the Universal Harmonic Language Model. This was followed up in 2015 by Michael Sanborn's release of 2 additional works, The Theory of Relativity of Space, Time, and Numbers, and the Proton Spin Solution, upon which this video is based. Additional references are cited based upon the book, The Proton Solution.